Hi, this is Helena and welcome back to Flux Model Review Part 2. In this one, we'll focus more on discussing the pros and cons. We just want to share what we have found this model to be particularly strong at and what areas it kind of still struggles with so you know better what to expect. If you recall, in Part 1, we did this fashion magazine photo challenge and Flux did pretty well. It gave us really nice people pictures with great attention to details. But now, instead of letting Flux do whatever it wants, we're gonna level up the prompt and add holding a hat. That's supposed to make it a lot harder. To understand how hard of a problem this is, here is ideogram, 4 fingers. Not bad. That was rough. Here is MidJourney. MidJourney doesn't mess up the hands too bad, but it doesn't adhere to the prompt anymore. So here's Flux. It doesn't get it 100% of the time. So if you look at it, I did not delete any generation. These were just all the generations that I ran. Out of the 20 times, there were 2 pictures that didn't completely align with my prompt. I think that's pretty decent. So it's like 90% of the time it's trying pretty hard to give me what I asked for. Although sometimes the pose is a little bit awkward. And it can also get really creative with the angles. Like this one or this one. It's like we don't see the face, but I really like this generation. It's very natural. I'm also really happy with the details. If I had to nitpick, it would be the nose. Other than that, everything looks pretty perfect to me. It still makes mistakes with the fingers. Sometimes this one has 4. This one has, I think, 6. But real quick, here's what you can do. We can go to edit people, click correct hands, and then we just mask this area. Just like that, we can fix it really easily with OpenArt. Now let's look at some of the more flawed ones. This kind of messed up the action of holding a hat, but there's a really good chance you get something nice. And it is really nice. This one's actually my favorite, and we have already put it to be the model thumbnail on OpenArt. Just wanted to flex this Flux picture a little. It's a really great creation. And another thing that I noticed was that it's a little bit better in terms of the racial bias that we've seen in the previous models. It gave me someone other than a white person without me having to explicitly prompt it. It shows us being trained from a wider variety of things. The bias problem is a really tough one, but at least now with Flux, you're able to prompt it explicitly and you can get much better pictures for different races. And I also had some fun playing with the different hand gestures you can do. I just put hands. I didn't say like what the hands are doing, but by putting hands in the prompt, I'm just telling Flux that I want hands to be seen in this image. And it's giving me like really nice hands. I got this really nice binoculars gesture, even though when I was trying to explicitly prompt it, I couldn't really get it, as you can see. But in general, it definitely does hands really well. 6 fingers here. But then again, that's fixable with the editor. We did man's hand carving on wood, with wood carving saying handcrafted with love. It's a pretty complicated prompt. This one is pretty good and all the text is right. I'm really impressed by this. I would say out of the 4 pictures, 2 of them had really natural hands. This is pretty good. I think just with some minor editing like this part, I'm not really sure what's going on there. With the OpenArt editor, I can quickly do this. I can also quickly paint this area. I think Flux gave us something weird on the wood because I didn't specify what I wanted there. Let's just say wood carving of a tree emblem. And now we get this. This was really cute too. It even gave us a little heart. If we give it more chances, I'm sure we can get something really good. Here comes another challenge. I'm trying to do a more rigorous test on if it can generate good layout and text. especially for something like a slide presentation design. Here's my iteration process. First, I tried to make a slide design showing the number of users growing at rocket speed, and I wanted it to be OpenArt users, and it's kind of mid. We're getting the watermark problems again. Although the watermark doesn't seem to be too random, it says OpenRT, I still think Flux needs to figure out this watermark situation. And then I was like, oh, maybe I didn't give it enough details. So I tried to craft a more guided prompt. So on the left side, I want a graph showing the numbers going up. And on the right, I want text and graphics. So this is a lot better. I don't actually expect to be able to use this. It's kind of just like a brainstorming tool to help me figure out like the aesthetics and color palettes, because it's usually pretty consistent in an AI generated image. But then I was like, hey, the aspect ratio looks weird. And that was actually my bad, because I set it to be a square aspect ratio when I actually should have used a wider one. So now we're on to my third step in this little exploration. It's much better. It's getting like really interesting here. And I really like this rocket. It's cool design. Definitely not directly usable, but I can already see this cute little vector design coming handy. And here comes my last attempt, but now I want the slide to say OpenArt users are growing at 10x speed. The idea is if I have a clearer title, the image model might be able to understand my theme better, and so it can make the image better. And I think it is doing a much better job. This is a pretty long sentence. It left out the word users, but it's already pretty good. And obviously the percentages are very funky. That's not how the axis should work in our dimensions, but perhaps that's how it works in their vector embeddings dimensions. This one got the text a little bit wrong and definitely cannot trust the axis numbers, but no model that I know of can handle this, so it's already a good progress. And this will be the last one. For this example, OpenArt users are growling. I love this. Another flaw of the model is Flux is probably not the best for artists. The reason is simple. It seems to not really understand many different art styles. For example, Impressionist style painting of 80s soccer bar. It's giving us like a digital painting. It is a little bit Impressionist sometimes, like with the brush strokes and stuff, but it looks very digital, as Internal has commented under the part 1 video. Whereas this other model, Colors, does it a lot better. I think if you want a model that understands more art styles, Colors is definitely a better choice as of right now. Comment Colors below if you want a review of the Colors model. Back to Flux, we gave it another chance by just changing Impressionist to Renaissance. It's giving us a more Renaissance color palette, but it still looks digital, and it's definitely not ideal. In terms of art, MidJourney still does a much better job. As much as Flux has good prompt adherence, it still has a long way to go in terms of making a more complicated, coherent scene. Here we're imagining a scene where there's a blue wolf and a golden lion. They're both cyberpunk creatures, and on the left, I want the blue wolf to be pointing a futuristic weapon at the lion on the right. And I'm also saying that the golden lion on the right should have cybernetic neck implants. And we would notice that it's kind of all correct. It followed everything, but it's just not a really great image. And I've noticed this is generally true when I'm talking about more complicated scene of multiple characters interacting. If we look at MidJourney does much better. I think these are just much more aesthetic, usable images. It's the same with a similar prompt. A wizard is pointing at a frog with a wand, and the frog appears to be surrounded by these magical effects, and the frog is transitioning. It seems to be right, but it's just not that usable. Flux just doesn't handle this too well. Ideogram doesn't do the best job either, but MidJourney is still great for this. So if you're looking for these really artistic magical effects, I would still come here. So some takeaways about Flux is it has really crisp lines and clean edges and styles. If you prefer that, it's a great model for you. It also makes Flux really great for creating business assets, modern designs, or clean, realistic photos of people and places. Flux also has many creative angles. It's also one of the best models right now to generate people, especially getting the hands, fingers, and gestures right. It has very nice text and aesthetic layout capabilities. But some of the main cons are it's not so good with different art styles or complex scenes compared to other top models like MidJourney. It also cannot make mythical creatures. If you want to use Flux, OpenArt's giving all users 20 Flux images for free every day, and there's also DALL-E 3, Stable Diffusion 3, Colors, and a bunch of other great models. We're so happy about the Flux launch. This is what we like to see. They're all really great models and they have like different personalities. If you haven't seen part 1 of the video, make sure to check out the great examples there. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I put all useful links under the video in the description. Have fun creating.